Okay, so this is one of our Chevy. I think they're 3600s. Don't ask me. I never really was a Chevy guy, and not because I have any issues with Chevys, but I just always had Ford trucks. Um, this is one of the two that I brought home in a previous video, and we'll go around it. I don't know anything about it. It doesn't even have a key for the ignition. I don't even see where they've added a button, so unless that switch there, I think that's part of the glove box though. But maybe that little button next to where the ignition's supposed to be was the key. I don't know, but you can see it's in pretty rough condition on the inside. All the windows are busted. It's got a really unique add-on. This is the first time I've seen it. Now what that is a periscope that allows you to look behind you. And originally this truck had a concrete machine on it, and that allowed you to view what was in the back. I always find solutions like that quite interesting. It's got a sliding glass window. I highly doubt that was a factory thing back then. Let's look on the outside. Definitely you can see it's different. Maybe it was a aftermarket accessory, maybe it was totally custom built, I don't know. But this one has a big winch on the back for lifting up and down this boom. All the tires are at least intact on this truck. To say they're inflated would probably be a stretch, but at least they're not falling off the thing. Whereas the other truck that's in front of it is totally missing. I honestly, I don't even know if this thing has an engine in it yet. I did not ask any questions. I just bought them for the price I got them. I just was willing to buy them. Let's see. I'm not sure what engine that is. I'm sure somebody will tell me all about it. It's a neat old car horn. Too bad it's broken. Usually you've got the electrical plug comes out of there. It's just a clean knot there. Generator. And on this side. I do believe this one might actually be the original engine. I have no idea what this guy is. Looks like some kind of, maybe it was washer fluid? Some kind of vacuum canister? I don't know. Beats me. Most of the stuff I've worked on is 1970s. These are the first trucks I've ever bought that were 1950s, and the one out front that we looked at the other day was a 1949. So by far these are the oldest vehicles I've ever owned. I think the next oldest one was the 1960s. I had a 63 Mercury one time. I do not own that anymore. Wish I did. That would be quite fun. It's got neat little mirrors on it. And then all the crap that's on it came with it. There's like old doors shoved in down there. Old house doors. And again, I don't know if this is a factory bed option or if this is something somebody made or what. It's kind of goofy again. It's got lumber in between. Somebody put a metal top on afterthought. You can see that it's tack welded, but it's just 4x4s with 2x4 cross sections, but then it's got a lower rub rail, which is kind of neat. Is that attached? No, it's just sitting there. I thought maybe the propane was attached to it. A lot of things around here were propane powered. I couldn't tell you why, including that old tractor I have there, which came with the property. I don't know anything about that tractor except for that I tried to hook power up to the starter, and the starter just groans. Doesn't even try to turn over, just makes a noise. We might get to work on that tractor or not, I don't know. I hooked 24 volt on two 1000 cranking amp batteries on it, and it didn't even budge that starter. So either the starter's bad, and we hooked it up basically straight, connected it to the starter. So either the starter's bad or something else is shot in there. And yes, that is a 24 volt system. It's meant to have 24 volt. I was trying to open this door. Oh, there it goes. The interior of this one. Again, not sure the exact year on either of these. I just know that they're 50s, and this one's a GMC. That one back there is a Chevy. This one here is a GMC. Its tag is right there. And I couldn't tell you the difference in those either. I mean, I know nowadays they say that GMC's business class, but what did it mean in 1950s? I have no idea. This one's got hubcaps on it. The tires on this is the only tire that's not like disintegrated. The tires on this thing are totally destroyed all the way around. It's got some pretty nice chrome on the front, a few dents and dings in it, but could probably come out pretty easy. So the story I got was this truck, this GMC here, was bought for parts for that truck back there. And this truck here is supposedly a half ton. Now, I've never taken off those hubcaps to know how many lug nuts it has, but it also does have quite a small differential in the back comparatively to those other ones, but it still has the same size tires, so I'm not sure. I guess when we delve into it deeper, we'll find out. And this one also, same, looks like, oh, the hood's not even hooked up, so I'm going to be careful not to screw it up. But same factory engine. Looks like the spark plug wires have been cut off and the spark plug has been pulled out. That's not really a good sign. The engine most likely is stuck. And it's probably because it's been left open for so long. But you can see those tires are shot there, and that tire back there is shot. I mean, it's those tires are totally disintegrated. And as well as these rims are split rims on all of these. Now, I'm not afraid to work on the split rims. I have done that many times. But they're also, I think, 16.5 rims, which makes them harder to get. Now, interestingly enough, the truck out front has 17-inch rims on it, which we may have come back around to the standard of 17, so I may be able to find tires off of a newer truck for that. But I don't know. Neither of these do I have any clue whether they turn over or anything. I will talk about it because I'm sure I'll get asked. This Ford truck, we pushed it over here. Now it does run, but it's got a knock that's so bad that the cylinder, whatever cylinder is knocking, is about to exit the building. That truck has a 306 in it, manual transmission. As you can see, it is in really rough condition. Body's got rust, and I don't think there's a single panel on it that's not dented in some way or another. But this old tractor here's got decent tins on it, and the back tires are basically brand new. You can see it still has the tire size printed on the tread. Somebody before I got here had recently changed belts, which makes me wonder if this thing does run or could potentially run. It runs on propane, which could be a problem, but I haven't even gotten to the point of being able to crank it over, so worrying about what kind of fuel it takes doesn't really matter. Now, both of those brake pedals over there are seized so hard that I can like stand up on them. And maybe they're in the fully down position and they're supposed to be up, but they don't move. And I tried to pull this tractor with my other tractor. This tractor used to be sitting perfectly straight, pointed towards where that red Ford is. And I hooked a chain to the front, tried to pull it around. You can kind of still tell, but all those holes dug in the ground is from trying to move this thing. So it's not rolling freely. So I'm guessing those brakes in the back were set like a parking brake, and then they seized stuck, because I can actually change the gears. The gears all shift on it. You can put it in neutral, but it still won't move. Front tires are obviously shot on it. Anyway, since we're doing the tour, this bus, the only thing that it has on it that I think I might use is there's a Chevy 427 high deck in it, which is an industrial engine that got used a lot for drag racing applications in the 70s and 80s, because the top deck is just like titled, is a higher deck, which allows you to have a larger bore and stroke. Now, I'm getting over my head when I start talking about that stuff. I've never built drag engines or anything like that, and know very little about performance stuff except for just bolt-on things. I've never been a mechanic. Just all my mechanic skills came from owning old junk cars and having to get from A to B. Anyway, this truck, which it's so funny, I've got a story about it. I had one of those old classic trucks. It wasn't this one, it was a different one. I had an old classic truck, and this was parked next to it. And kid comes and says, "Hey, can I talk to you about all your truck stuff?" Because I'm kind of a gabber, I get into telling him all about the old classic truck in the background. And after I stopped talking, he's like, "No, I'm talking about this truck." I'm like, "Wow, kid, you made me feel old." Apparently in 1993, Ford is a classic now, but if anybody's interested in me working on that, we can do that as well. I have a lot more time now. See, I used to be a commercial truck driver, and I just recently quit doing that. So now I'm home and we'll have time to work on them. That's the truck that we've done all the videos on. That truck starts and will try to move, but the front bearings on it are so tight that you can't overcome them with the measly 40 or 50 horsepower the engine's putting out. It'll move a couple of inches before the truck dies. The back wheels are free, the front ones are stuck. I'm gonna have to jack it up and work on the bearings on it. That tractor, despite it looks like it's abandoned, is not. It runs just fine. It is what we use to work the field. Little 3-cylinder 1120 John Deere. We'll walk over to this one. At some point we might do some implement work if you guys are interested in seeing that. I need to get this fixed. I've never used it. It was on the property when I got here. And I would like to overseed that field with wheat to feed my cows. All those pieces of implements that are sitting there were out in the field when I got here too. They all have varying degrees of things wrong with them. But this is the 49, the one that runs. And those other trucks back there have stuff like the chrome bezel that I can put over there. They also have the original turn signal light. Now I guess I'm curious on what your guys' opinion are, because I could put the old turn signal light and it would look like that, where it's all wore out and has its age and shows its patina, which I personally don't feel that this truck is patinaed well, and I think it's because it was probably painted in the 80s. So I'm not a big fan of this particular patina. But if we wanted to keep the patina look, we could make those turn signals work and just replace the chrome bezels. Either that, or I have LED style turn signal marker lights that we could put on here. I wish I would have videoed it. So the other day I put air in these tires, and like Frankenstein, they all came back to life, and they were flat on the rim. All 6 of them were, and that one's starting to look like it's going flat again, but it's been months, so that's not really a shock. But this truck as well, inside's pretty bad, needs a lot of glass work, roof panel work, and I don't have a lot of money, so working on this stuff's going to be a slow grind. But a lot of this stuff can just be elbow greased. I mean, just cleaning it out would do a heck of a lot towards fixing it. And the front bearings, so long as the bearings aren't totally rusted and they're just tight from not having been moved in a long time, I can pull the bearings out, put grease and oil in there, and there's a good chance these old bearings might be good enough at least to run around the field and work as a farm truck. We're quite a ways away from being what I would consider going to town rig or roadworthy, especially since all these tires are bad, and I do not have that kind of money to put into tires. Maybe things change. Maybe one of you are watching me, like me, and are a whale. No, don't send me money, but if want to do a social experiment, I guess I'm as good as any. But as you can see, dry cracked. The sheer fact that that tire is holding air is insane to me. I mean, you can like straight see through chunks of the tire to the inner. It says Goodyear, but boy, that Goodyear was a long time ago. And also, like this tire, you can see where the flat section was. That's where it was sitting on the ground, that dirt spot. So the fact that this is holding air, it must have a tube. That's the only thing I can figure. That must have tubes inside there. Otherwise, how in the world? Otherwise, how in the air back up? And if you can hear me breathing hard, well, I've been truck driving for, let's see, 17 or 18 years at this point. It's been a while, and I am horribly out of shape. It's part of my reason for quitting truck driving. Is last time I was home for about 6 months, and I lost so much weight it was unreal. And I didn't diet, I didn't do anything special. I just was able to do things like today. I mowed the whole front yard and worked out here on trucks and videoed, you know. So hopefully I won't be out of breath like this before too long. But anyhow, this truck has a dump bed on it, and to me overall looks the most promising to fix, and that's why this truck will be the first one we work on. And if you've seen the video before, you know this truck has a 2 250 Chevrolet engine from probably 1970 or so. I haven't looked up the VIN or anything. I just know that it's a Chevy 250 in there. And if you're a purist going, no, that's not what's in there. No, I know it's not the original engine. But that's what's in it now. And maybe one of those other engines in the back will work better. I don't know. Oh, I guess the only other project I have that maybe you guys would be interested in, I don't know. There's a 1990s Harley in there, and it runs just fine. I've driven it around town and stuff. I don't have my motorcycle license, so as for obvious reasons I don't ride it. Yes, the shop is a mess right now. It was a rough winter. Anyway, that bike does run pretty good though. I think basically just needs carb cleaning. And it's technically not my bike, it's a good friend of mine's bike. But I need to get it out and get it washed. It's gotten quite dusty over the winter. Anyway, if you've made it this far, please like and subscribe. Hopefully here soon I will be making more videos doing work on the truck. Again, I don't have a big budget. I do have a HEI distributor for that one over there, and the reason for that is because when I was changing the rotor, I could feel that the shaft on the distributor was moving a lot. Otherwise I would have just stayed with points. But there's also the whole I hate having to stop and file points every time the truck decides to foul up a little bit. So it really doesn't hurt my feelings, especially since that's not like an all original truck, to just put an HEI distributor in there. Maybe I'll be able to get a carburetor. I think they're only like $60, but boy, when $5 might as well be a million. If you don't have $5, it doesn't matter how cheap it is. But anyway, we'll get as much done on that as possible, because I do have wrenches and I do have some parts for it already. And maybe we'll do some more work on that tan Ford over there. We've got a whole bunch of parts for it, and it needs a few things like fuel injectors. It has a real hard time starting because the injectors aren't any good anymore. Once it's starting, it tends to run fine, except for that it at higher speeds will act as though you're flooding it or not fueling it enough just at random points. So I'm pretty sure it's fuel injectors. And then I also need to change the driveline carrier bearing, because at certain RPMs you get a knock. It took me forever to figure out what that was. And then I climbed down there one day and reached up and I used the driveline yoke to pull myself under there a little bit more. And the whole driveline shifted about 1/4 of an inch. And I went, oh, well, there's our problem. And it's the driveline yoke under there, or the carrier bearing under there, because it's a 2-piece driveline. But anyway, we'll get back to those as soon as possible. And hopefully next week or the week after, I will have another video of working on the 49 Chevy up front. If you want to see something else that we're working on out here, or I don't know, have any comments, let me know.